Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to make a chili. Now I've got here, I've already opened it, some beef and pork mince, and it says it's typically less than 23% fat. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pan on a low heat, and that way everything doesn't burn. Now I'm going to cook this because take the paper off the bag, put it in there. I'm going to cook this, put that in the bin, and I'm not going to cook the rice yet because Mrs. PJ is at her mother's and her mother's not very well. So I'm going to cook the chili. Let me tie my hair back out of the way, I don't want to set my hair on fire. I'm going to cook the chili so that when she comes back from her mother's, all we've got to do is turn the heat on and warm it up while the rice cooks. So I've dropped the mince into the pan, and all I'm doing is breaking it up because it's one big solid lump at the moment, and I'm just going to brown it nice and gently. Just keep breaking this up, and I'm going to give it a stir now and again. I've got a real sharp knife here somewhere. No, it's not, it's on the dishboard. There we go, real sharp knife. One of those ceramic things. And in the fridge I have some onions. So I'm going to drop a couple of onions in and some mushrooms. So I've got some onions and some mushrooms. Just give it a bit of a stir and break it up a little bit more. And like I say, I'm just going to keep the heat right down so that we don't burn anything. Now I've not put any fat in the bottom of this, purely and simply because there's quite a bit of fat that will come out in the meat. So I've got one onion here. This is a chopping board. Let's get this onion chopped up. So I'm cutting the top and the bottom off the onion. Take a couple of the outside layers off. They're a little bit leafy, shall we say. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half, slice it up and put it in with the mince. So this is just taking the outside layer off, which is not fantastic. And if you've cooked onions, you'll know exactly what I mean. So there we go, that's the outside bit. Just going to cut it in half. Need to be careful with this knife, I don't want to slice my thumb in half. I'm just going to slice it now, drop it in the mince, and this onion will cook along with the mince and add a bit more flavour to it. So that's that bit done. And I think we'll put 2 onions in. And I'm not going to put the mushrooms in yet, not until I actually put the sauce in. I don't want the mushrooms to break up. Let's give it a bit of a stir. And as you can see, it's slowly starting to brown. get another onion out. Top and tail it. Top off. Bottom off. So we're going to peel it again. I'm just going to split it down here. Take that outside layer off. Put the knife down so I don't stab myself. That's the outside layer off. Cut it in half. And then once again I'm going to slice it up and drop it in with the mince. That's one bit. Comes the second bit. Oh, the middle bit's dropped out. Look. I'll put that in a second. Now this mince is starting to sizzle a little bit, so I do need to give it a stir. So I'm going to give it a quick stir, and then I'm going to get rid of all this rubbish that's on here from the onion. That's it. Right, it goes back in the fridge. There we go. Let's get rid of that. And all I'm going to do now is keep giving it a stir. So I've got my mushrooms already, and as you can see the onion's starting to separate as I stir it up. I might just give it a little bit more heat while I'm stood here stirring it. As long as I'm stirring it, it'll be fine. And I just keep breaking the lumps up like this, look, because we want it to cook all the way through. I don't know if you can see it, but at the bottom of the bowl there, look, that's the grease coming out of the mince. And we're going to leave that fat in, because that adds to the flavour. That's where all the flavour is, in the fat. I mean, it's not fat that makes you fat, it's sugar, it's carbohydrates that makes you fat. There we go. I'll have a slurp of my coffee while I'm doing. Right, so I've done with that, I've done with that, and I've done with that. So, it will be washed in a bit. I'll get that done before Mrs. PJ comes in. I'm just going to give it another stir. There we go. Starting to look good. Break all those lumps up so it cooks all the way through. There we go, just keep giving it a stir. Making sure all those lumps are broken up. Now as I'm doing this, those onions are softening up nice and slowly. So it'll keep the flavour in the onions, let a little bit out into the meat. There we go. As you can see, all the onions, or nearly all the onions, are separated now. It's amazing how a little bit of heat will separate all those layers of the onion. And then once it's all nicely browned, all I'm going to do is add the chilli sauce. Now I'm using a jar of chilli sauce. I'm not actually making the chilli sauce myself. Not today anyway, because we've both been incredibly busy and we want something that's quick and easy but tasty. Now, I like my chilli reasonably strong, but Mrs. PJ doesn't, so we've got one mild chilli. Oh, we've got two mild chilies. I thought she'd bought a mild and a medium, so it looks like a mild chilli today. Never mind, what can you do? Alright, just keep breaking this mince up. Keep stirring it. There we go. Can't hardly see any lumps in it at all now. I've just got the odd little pink bit here and there, which a couple of more minutes on the heat like this will break it all. Or make it all nice and brown, I should say. Another minute or so. Couple of little lumps down here, just break them up. Right, so that looks brown all the way through. So what I'm going to do now is open up the chilli. There goes one jar. As you can see, there's a bit of chilli left in the bottom of the jar. Look. We'll get that out in a second. And there's the second one. Now all I'm going to do here is put a little splash of cold water in the bottom and give it a good shake. So we'll just get a bit of cold water. So there you are. I don't know if you can see that. I've put about that much cold water in. Put the lid on. Give it a shake. There you go. Put that in there. That way it doesn't become too runny. Put this lid back on. Give it a shake. Pour that in as well. And then we'll get rid of those in the bin. Now unfortunately down here we don't recycle glass for some reason. I don't know why. Right, give it a bit of a stir. And all we're going to do now is wait for that to warm up. And while it's warming up, oh, I do want that knife. Give it a quick rinse to get rid of any residue from the onion. Okay, so we've got these nutty and earthy chestnut mushrooms. All I'm going to do is slice these up reasonably thick. I don't want them too thin. Drop them in the chilli. I nearly said curry then. And these will soften up nicely. Cook nicely in the sauce. I'm going to put them all in because I like plenty of mushrooms. Slice them up nice and thick. In. It's just starting to bubble now, so when I put this last one in, I'm going to give it a stir. Pick those little bits up that I've knocked off the mushrooms, put them in there, put that in the bin in a second, and I'll give this a stir. So I'm going to stir the onions all the way in, the mushrooms all the way in I should say. So they're all nice and coated in the chilli sauce. There you go. So I'm just going to let it come to the boil, or the simmer I should say, to the bin. I'm just going to let that come to the simmer, and then I'm going to turn the heat off and leave it until Mrs. PJ comes home with it. And then all I've got to do is I'm going to boil the kettle up. In fact, no, I'm not going to boil the kettle up. I'm going to do it with cold water. I'm going to put some rice in a bowl with some cold water. Put the heat on, and after 3 or 4 minutes, when the rice kind of settles at the bottom, I'm going to give it a good stir. Cook the rice, which is going to take about 10 minutes, and we're all ready to go. So let's just keep giving this a stir so it doesn't stick, because it's not a non-stick pan, this, or a non-stick bowl I should say. And there we go. And she'll be happy with me, because I've cooked with dinner. Didn't take a lot of doing, did it? And we used Asda's own chilli sauce, so it's not fantastically expensive. I think they're about £1 a jar. Bit of onion there, look. About £1 a jar, and then there's the mince and the onions, so it's probably cost about £6, and we'll get 2 meals each out of this. So yeah, quite happy with that. If you wonder what this is, it's the extractor fan. So I'll just keep giving it a stir now. Give it a couple of minutes and then give it another stir. And I just want it to come to a bubble. Once it's bubbled, then all that flavour from the chilli sauce will go all the way into the meat while it's stood for 2 or 3 hours, depending on how long she's going to be. And all that flavour from the onions and the chilli sauce and the mushrooms will all mix in together, and it'll be mwah. I need to keep having a slurp of my coffee while I'm doing it though. I'm getting there slowly. Starting to get a bit of steam off it, so we're not far off getting it up to the right temperature. It will be bubbling soon, I hope. Just keep giving it a stir. When I've done this, I've got a couple of dishes to wash from where I've been cooking. I'll take the spoon out, and I've got a lid to put on because we've got a cat, and if we're not careful, the cat will be in the chilli once it cools down. I've only got to walk out the room for 2 seconds and she's there, and I don't want the cat beat me to it. Right, it's starting to just bubble a little bit. You can hear it as I turn it. Just starting to bubble a little bit, which is what we want. Those onions are softening up nicely now, and so are the mushrooms. So it's been on a simmer for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes now, and it's just starting to bubble a little bit. You can hear it as I stir it in the bowl, and it smells good. I like food, you know. There we go, it's starting to bubble up nicely now. If you look, you can see it starting to get 1 or 2 bubbles in it. Just want it to get a little bit warmer, and then I'm going to turn the heat off. I did a nice piece of pork yesterday with veg and roast taters and mashed taters and nice loads of gravy. In fact, I put too much gravy on my plate, it dribbled off the edge a little bit. I'm a scruffy bugger. This is one of the joys of getting a little bit older. You can take your time and do things because I don't have to go to work anymore. I can just take my time and relax and enjoy my cooking and enjoy my food. Right. So I think that's warm enough. I'm just going to turn the heat off now. Put the lid on to keep the cat out. And all I've got to do now is wait for Mrs. PJ to come home, cook the rice, dinner's ready. Time to do the dishes.